Hi everyone, it's great to see you. Today I am up front by our main entrance to our house and I'm going to be planting up some more urns. So of course we have these gorgeous urns that I just love that came with the house. Nothing is going to compare to those, but I have added the 3 pots in front this year and I love how that looks. And the other day I was pulling into the driveway, which is right behind you here, and I thought, I could see a couple planters up here by the front door. And I think if I planted them correctly, the flowers would spill over, or the leaves, and just sort of add another dimension into this front area. So of course I had to go looking for some urns, and let me tell you what I found. So I knew that I wanted some urns that were going to be very lightweight. So I go with that resin, which is like a plastic, easy for me to move around. And I had found some online that weren't too bad, but they were like $200 each. So I was waiting to get them. Wouldn't you know it, I went to Home Depot and they had a bunch of these urns by their cash register. They are by Vigoro, and for 2 urns, there are 2 stacked in here, it was $32. So I thought that that was wonderful. They came in a black spray paint and then this creamy gray spray paint. So of course, then I ended up getting 3 packs of them, 6 total urns, but still that was cheaper than even one of the urns that I had seen online. Now, when I went out to Home Depot online, they did not have this deal there. So if you're interested in this and you want to check out and see if your Home Depot has the same urns, you probably have to go in person, but it is totally worth looking for it. So they come wrapped together like this. I have separated this out. They're a 16-inch width diameter, and I'm going to be using an Upsy-Daisy planter insert here. This is a 12-inch. The 12-inch seems to work really, really well in here. So I'm keeping in mind that what I'm going to plant in here is going to be in here for the season, and then I will plant it out again. I don't feel the need to have that much potting soil. Probably if I put any perennials in here, they'll go into the garden later. If I put annuals in here, we'll just toss them at the end of the season. This will give plenty of growing space. Now this urn already had 1 drainage hole at the bottom, and then it had, this part screws on here. It had a plug in this drainage hole that you could pop out for outside drainage, but you could also use these inside and keep the plug in so that the water doesn't drain all over your floor. Always a good thing when you have these inside. So I'm going to put that Upsy-Daisy planter insert in here, and let me show you one of the main things we're going to be adding to this urn. So this is one of my favorite hostas. This is a stained glass hosta, and isn't that just a gorgeous color? It is that vibrant yellowish chartreuse color that I love. Now I'm keeping in mind that these urns they're really full shade. There is no time in the day that the sun slants so that sun gets in there. So I am going to keep in mind that these things don't live there permanently. When things are going to start looking like they need more sun, I'm either going to switch those urns out or switch what's in the urns out, and that's okay. I'm fine with doing that. So this stained glass hosta has been in this square pot for a year. It had another hosta in here and some annuals, and it is doing great. I've had to move everything else out because it's overtaking this planter. So that's one of the signs that it is time to divide it. Now, ideally, you're going to divide your hostas in the fall, because whenever you divide a hosta, you're going to tear some leaves. It's going to break apart not exactly like you wanted. It doesn't look as beautifully round as this when you get done. However, as far as the hosta survival goes, it's fine to divide it anytime. I find dividing in the spring when it's just sending its little shoots up might be easier because you can get in between the shoots pretty nicely. But you can even divide now, midsummer, it won't look as good as it will in the future, but that's okay. So I'm going to divide this up, and to do that, I'm just going to work it out of this planter very carefully. It's quite root bound. Oh, it's coming though. Ugh. Give it a shake. Let's look at that. Oh, yes. Okay, so as I look at this here. You can tell it has a great root system going. It looks really healthy. I love hosta. Hosta are just such fabulous, fabulous plants. So when you look at the center here, you're going to see little divisions, and I'm going to try to separate this pretty evenly into two, but you never really know how it's going to go. So we shall see. You just sort of divide your stalks, and then I would take a hori-hori, a knife, something like that, and you're actually going to have to sort of cut it. A shovel actually might work even better. I might go get my root slayer, and some of the leaves are going to break. It is kind of a painful experience for the person who is doing the dividing, but you know it's going to be okay in the end. Okay, we're getting there. I'm going to take some of the dirt off too, that's sort of crumbling. So do this in a place that you can pick up the dirt later pretty easily. And I can just work this into the grass later. Oh, this is going to be tricky. Okay, I'm going to go get my shovel. I'll be back. Okay, so here is my instrument of choice for today. This is the Root Slayer Edger. So a shovel would be fine, but what you're looking for is something relatively flat and relatively sharp, so that you can just go right through the middle of your plant. Okay, here we go. Oh, beautiful. Could hear that cutting sound. I'm sorry, Mr. Hosta, but you will appreciate this later. So here is one half. Here is the other half. And you lose a couple leaves, and a couple more get bent. You might have to pick up some that, were cut, but that is okay. You now have two hosta. It's so exciting. So this piece is still pretty big. I think I'm going to cut this one more time. Because if not, I'm going to be cutting it again first thing next season. I might as well make it look it's not its best now and have it perfect for next year. Okay, so here's the tricky part. You want to line it up so you're trying not to cut too many of the leaves. Whoops. Don't have it yet. It's one of those you take your time to get it right. Okay, I'm going to try flipping it to the other side. Oh, yes. Okay. Try not to take off any fingers while you do this. Whew. Hope that worked. Oh yes, we got it. So here's another clump. And once again, any of these that you lost, that's okay. And next year when this comes back, I will now have 3 clumps that are nice and round and can use them anywhere. So don't be afraid to divide your hosta. 2 of these clumps are going to go up to our urns, and I'm going to add in some other things with them. So let's see which 2 do I feel match size-wise. I think this one is pretty big. I sort of feel like I want a smaller one though. Oh, I'm going to take one of these off. Maybe. So as I look at this, here's a section, and then there's 2 more fan-like sections here. that could technically be 3 separate hostas. So you want to think of them as these clumps that it forms with the tubers underneath. So I could actually slice it in all those places. I'm not going to though. I'm going to let it look big and beautiful, but you could. And sometimes if you really want to spread them out like along the line of your driveway or something, that's a great way to divide it up. Okay, let's get a little more of this dirt off. Looks good. Okay, let's head back to the urns. We're good. Okay, so I have pre-added the potting mix in here. This is the first time that I'm using Coast of Maine potting mix. I've heard really good things about this, so if you use the Coast of Maine potting mix, would you drop me a comment and let me know how you feel it works for you? Obviously, if you're using it, you probably feel like it's pretty good. Do you prefer it over the Miracle-Gro potting mix that I usually use? The guy who sold it to me, which of course he was selling it to me, said that I will never go back to the Miracle-Gro potting mix. This is wonderful. So we shall see how these do. Let me show you the other plants we're going to be putting in these urns. I have these beautiful begonias. Now these are not tuberous begonias. These are Reiger begonias. And the difference is a tuberous begonia has a tuber at the root that you can then dig up and save over the winter if you want. This type of hydrangea. This type of begonia doesn't have a tuber. So you really either have to bring these in to overwinter inside, or you just count them as an annual. I was fortunate enough to get these for half off. It is getting towards the end of the season, and they are that perfect pink that I think will pick up the mandavilla pink back here. They do love shade. Of course, no plant loves complete shade. So my idea is we put them in here. They bloom for a while. Once they stop blooming, I dig them up, put them somewhere else, substitute something else in here. I want the color in here. So for me, it's worth it. Pick up some extra annuals at the 50% off sales now, and then have those out, wherever that I can substitute in later on when this begonia finally goes, you're not giving me enough sun to bloom anymore. Then I know to trade it. I'm just going to pause for a moment and ask you all just to take a second and click the subscribe button down below and that thumbs up for a like if you like this video. It's really helpful to me in growing this channel. Thanks so much. The other thing I have here, I have the Goldilocks Creeping Jenny, which is doing so well in all my planters. I love that, and that has that nice golden color. I don't even know if these are going to fit in. This is the Sun King. It is an Auralia Cordata. So Auralia Cordata is a leafy plant. It's not grown for really anything except its foliage. In the sun, or a little bit of sun, it gets more of this lime color. If you put it in complete shade, over time it's going to deepen to a darker green. I really like that lime color, but once again, I might be moving these urns, switching them out with something else once it starts to turn that deep green color. My thought was I could have this for sort of a more delicate texture, and then the hosta that I just divided. It's going to be a tight fit, but we shall see if we can fit them in here. Now this one and the hosta are perennial. So, this dies down completely in the winter, but I could put it in my garden if I wanted later to save this and keep it safe. I could try overwintering it in here too. That's always another option. I overwinter my hostas in planters like this all the time. The one I just divided has lived in that planter for 2 years. Obviously, it's doing really, really well. So let's see how this is going to look. Beautiful. beautiful to me. It is bright. It has shade-loving plants. It has a pop of pink. We have a trailer. It has everything. So let's go do the other one to match on the other side. Okay, so let me talk you through what I found on the other side. So on the other side, I discovered that I had way too much potting mix in here to begin with if I was going to be fitting all of these plants in there. So I began by just taking some out, which worked out really well because then I was able to just pack that around the top. And then I wanted the stained glass hosta to be on the inside, and I'm going to mirror them here so that they hopefully look pretty much the same. So I started that on the inside, and then I took my Auralia Cordata and just put it towards the back here. And I tipped it a tad towards the back. I know that it's going to look for sun and it's going to reach out this way anyway, so it will start growing in this direction. That way I know I'm all full up in the back here and all set. Let's see if I can get this to stand up a tad more. Excellent. And then I added in my Reiger begonia. I made sure that those begonias that were in bloom were sticking out to the front, and on the other side I pulled off a leaf so that it wasn't blocking my pretty pinkness. This one I'm just going to turn a little bit. This leaf might have to go, but we'll see once it's all potted up. And then I took my Goldilocks Creeping Jenny and I just put that in over here. This is pretty root bound. We'll just scruff it up a bit so that it could start to spill over right here. I think I want this one a little bit more like that. And you sort of have to play with it a bit. You know, this is like flower arranging. You sort of see what you like in this position, and then if you don't like it, you can change it around. And I'm like, nope, I want my hosta the other way around like this. And that is absolutely fine. Take your time to have the best part of your plant really showing off its stuff. It's only going to be here for the one season. So you want everybody to see its best looking side. Okay, now I feel like this baby needs to come this way. Oh my goodness. So it takes some patience, but eventually you start to get where you want to go. And I feel like this guy is down a little bit too far, so I'm going to give him a little dirt underneath. Okay, let's see if that brings it up a bit more. Yes, that's looking better. Okay. This hosta needs some good packing in order to really keep its shape. Sometimes after you've divided them, they sort of splay outward like that because now they've been cut in a new direction. Maybe they don't have as many roots in that direction, but it will be putting down roots before you know it, and much, much stronger. And now up here, since we're close to the house and everything, it's really going to be protected from the wind too, which is great as it establishes itself. I'm going to grab a little bit more potting mix. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to clean this up a bit and then we'll step back and see how it looks. These are making me so happy, and you want to be happy as you enter your house. So I think that the brightness of this foliage just is what this area needed. So I am so happy with this. They're so pretty. Now, before I leave you, there is one more little task I need to do for the urns in front of this. Aren't these urns looking gorgeous? Oh my gosh, this tiara blue petunia is amazing. This is actually one of the 2025 releases, and it is doing great. If you can get your hands on it next season, go for it. The Proven Winners Direct right now is releasing some of their annuals for 2025. And I actually ordered a couple more of these. The pink, that is the tiara pink like this, was already sold out. But if you're interested in getting your hands on some of those 2025 introductions, you might want to check out the Proven Winners Direct website. And then we have this beautiful Sun Patient here in white. The Creeping Jenny is just overflowing. I love it. So let's see here. The mandavilla is doing amazing too, and it is ready to have some more stakes. Now these are 6-foot bamboo stakes. You can use whatever you would like. You can tie them at the top with a piece of twine or string. I have this like little rubber thing that I like to use to hold them together. And we're just going to add a little height here for the mandavilla to keep climbing up. Oops, and I lost my top. Oh no. It's okay. There we go. I'm too short. There we are. Okay. And I'm gonna have this one come in the front. I probably should have done this sooner rather than later, and they all just came apart. That's okay. We never panic. We just wish we were taller for certain things. Okay. We can do it. There we go. Whew. Now, once you have whatever it is they're going to climb up, you want to take and sort of give them a little head start, telling them, oh, there is a new thing to climb here. And you're just going to twist them around. You're going to notice that the vines for your mandavilla actually tend to twine in a certain direction. Mine tend to go from the left to the right. See if I can get this a little straighter. So you're sort of just going to go with their natural twining. And if you break any, that's okay, because remember, they bloom off of new growth. So that just gives them the opportunity to get some more. This looks like it wants to go like this. Okay, and some I just sort of stick in between and go, it will figure it out. But what you don't want are pieces hanging down here, because they won't be able to get up and find this. So once they've started, they all sort of, whoops, if you break it like that, don't worry. They sort of start climbing each other as this one is climbing the nearby bush. So I'm gonna break it off. There we go. And get it going in the right direction. That's gonna be better. Here's another long piece. All of these pieces will then be much happier up here. Look at this. I really should have done this sooner, huh? It's okay. Better late than never. This is looking good. One more here. And you know, if you don't want to have it climb taller, just keep it trimmed. Trim it shorter and shorter. That is absolutely fine too. Okay, pretty good. Let's go to the other side. Okay. This time I'm going to try to put this down a little bit lower, so hopefully it doesn't come apart as easily. Let's see if that works better. Okay, that looks pretty straight. Nice. And we'll just try to loop some of these in and around. The mandavilla has been doing great this year. I love mandavilla. Okay, whoops. If you have some of those little orchid clips, they're called, you can order them online. They look like hair banana clips, but super, super tiny. And you can just banana clip the vines right onto these, and it works really well until they start twining themselves. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's take a step back so we can see the progression of urns here and exactly how this looks. Look at how beautiful all of these planters are. This just goes to show you what a difference flowers can make. We know that they make us happy. It makes places look inviting and cheerful. It adds that uplifting color that we need. I am so thrilled with how these all look. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.